Because it's the Christmas season, I decided to bring a story about my bar mitzvah. It's called The Scar. I am 12 years old and in my bedroom. My dad has just opened the door. What he sees is me with a knife in my hand and blood coming out of my leg. In the air, falling all around me, are bits and pieces of a disemboweled teddy bear. How I got here has something to do with being Jewish. I decided when I was 12 that being Jewish sucked. It was too obvious. Everyone else got a jolly fat guy in a red suit delivering toys. We got 8 days of leftovers. Everyone else got chocolate bunnies and Easter egg hunts. We got to fast. Clearly, being Jewish was the short end of the stick. Back then, my entire understanding of my Jewishness came from what I'd been taught about our history, which could be summed up like this. The Nazis were bad. They tried to kill us. We survived. We are Jewish. This is like defining cats as being chased by dogs. It says nothing about what it means to be a cat. Worse, it could be adapted to any parental purpose. The Nazis were bad, they tried to kill us, we survived, so do the dishes. Nazis were bad, we survived, be nice to your sister. Nazis bad, pass the salt. There's a whole bar mitzvah thing. If your only frame of reference for a bar mitzvah is as the punchline of a joke, here's the basic idea. Around a Jewish kid's 13th birthday, they're forced in front of everyone they know to read from a language that's thousands of years old, read from left to right, from right to left on a scroll you cannot touch and has almost no vowels. As an added bonus, you don't really read it so much as sing it. And don't forget, you're 13, so your voice is changing. I was pretty sure bar mitzvahs weren't much more than a really well-established hazing ritual. So when I was 12 and bar mitzvah season was about to start, I proudly announced that I wasn't having one. This went over real well with my family. My mom hadn't been allowed to have a bar mitzvah, a bat mitzvah. That was before feminism had spread that far. And my dad managed to have one with his poor, proud immigrant parents standing weeping nearby, I'm sure. But I was the first of the new generation of American-born Powazek, so it was up to me to do the right thing. Nazis bad, have a bar mitzvah. My refusal to participate in this ancient, respected tradition was not well received. It led to a few epic fights. One fight between my father and I ended with him literally locking me in my room on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, saying I could come out when I had learned my Torah portion. The door went click and I sat back on my bed, fuming. I was thinking, study? I'll show him. I can waste hours in this room. And that's when my eyes fell on the teddy bear. Here's the thing about my dad. He loved having kids. My sister and I had a constant playmate in him, a kid who wanted nothing more than to go to the park and fly a kite. Dad was great at having kids. Thing was, I didn't want to be a kid anymore. Puberty was coming on strong and MTV was teaching me things about short skirts, long hair, and fast cars. And that was just the men. The crowning moment of this schism was the present he gave me for my 12th birthday, a soft, cuddly teddy bear. I was 12. I had a picture of a white Porsche 911 on my wall and a stolen copy of Playboy under my mattress. My father was giving me stuffed animals. I'm sure it was given with love, but it became a symbol of everything I hated about my situation. And in that moment, I decided it would feel my wrath. I went to the desk drawer that I hid all my secret stuff in, way in the back, and dug out a pocket knife. I'd stolen it from a box at my mom's house. I think it had belonged to her father, a man who fought those same Nazis that now dominated my definition of Jewishness. I pulled out the knife, grabbed the teddy bear, sat down on the floor, and gave it a poke. Just a little stab. It felt good. So I went fucking nuts. All my frustration about my bar mitzvah and my dad and all the things I couldn't even fucking verbalize yet came pouring out of me in primal stabbing motions. The teddy bear seemed to be goading me into it. Prove that you're a man. Nazis bad. Kill that fucking teddy bear. It was on the second to last downstroke that the knife hooked the teddy bear, flinging it up into the air as I raised my blade for another go, and before I could stop myself, the knife came plummeting down, and with no stuffed animal there, it landed on me, in me, sliding sharply into the middle of my thigh. Pain flashed through me. I pulled the knife out and looked at it. It was clean, absolutely clean. And for a moment, with time stopped, I wondered why in the movies, when someone stabs someone else, the knife comes out all bloody. And then I looked at my leg, and in that split second, the wound looked pristine. And I thought, maybe that didn't just happen. Maybe I'm okay. And then the blood started. So I did what any 12-year-old independent man does when bleeding. I cried out for my daddy. That's how we got here, with my dad pulling out a t-shirt and telling me to hold it on the blood, taking off his belt and tightening it around my leg to stop the bleeding, angry but concerned. The pieces of teddy bear floating around us in the air. The ride to the emergency room was very, very quiet. I got 3 stitches and we drove home in silence. My bar mitzvah was less than a week away. I spent the next few days doing 2 things, trying to convince my dad that what he witnessed was not a failed suicide attempt, and practicing my Torah portion, right to left, up to down, beginning to ending. Singing. And when the day came, I donned my light blue Don Johnson suit and went to Temple Beth, Israel. I stood in front of my entire family in the bar mitzvah class of 1986, and I did it, and my voice didn't crack once. And I didn't do it because the Nazis were bad and we survived. I did it because I'd been bad and survived. I did it because I was Jewish, as inconvenient and confusing as that was, and I knew it meant something. There's this point in the ceremony when the parents give a little speech. And when my dad got up there to talk, a Powazek family legend was born. My dad got through 3 words of his speech before he started to cry. "My dear son," he said, and then his eyes welled and his voice quivered and the rest no one could understand. We tease my dad about his speech to this day. "My dear son," my sister says. And it always gets a laugh out of our family gatherings. But the truth is that I heard every word, every single word. And for the first time, my Jewishness didn't seem embarrassing. It seemed meaningful, or at least in that moment, I realized it had a meaning I had yet to discover.